Hello, I'd like to welcome you to this session on forest resources. We are blessed with a beautiful planet. Our Mother Earth is like the Akshaya Patra mentioned in the Puranas. She has been supplying us many resources since the time mankind came into existence. Natural resources could be defined as anything obtained from nature which can be utilized for our welfare. Today, we shall discuss some facts about one such natural resource, the forest resources. All of us have enjoyed the beauty and wilderness of forests in documentaries and channels like Discovery or National Geographic. Forests are very good examples of self-sustainable systems. Let us see which are the world's most important forests. The first and foremost forest which comes to our mind will be the Amazon rainforest. This is the most diverse rainforest in the world and spans more than 50 lakh square kilometers. 60% of it is present in Brazil and remaining in 8 other countries like the Peru, Venezuela, etc. Some of the other important and beautiful forests include the bamboo forest in Kyoto in Japan, the sequoia redwood forest in California, and the black forest of Germany. It's called so because the thick growth of pine trees doesn't allow much sunlight to penetrate, and hence it will be very dark inside the forest even during daytime. Approximately 1/3 of Earth's total land area is covered by forests. They are very significant as they contribute much to the rich biodiversity. In fact, recognizing the significance of forests, the year 2010 was celebrated as the International Year of Biodiversity and 2011 as the International Year of Forests. The functions of forests can be categorized into 3: productive, protective, and regulative. We will see some such specific functions. The first and foremost is watershed protection. Forests greatly reduce the rate of surface runoff of water. They prevent flash floods and soil erosion. They are capable of prolonged, gradual runoff, and thus they prevent the effects of drought. The second function of forests is atmospheric regulation. This includes maintaining carbon dioxide levels for plant growth and maintaining the local climatic conditions. The roots of all the plants in the forest, whether it is grass, herb or tree, all bind soil to a great extent. This can indeed prevent rains from directly washing soil away. Forests can also act as land banks. In doing so, they help to maintain the soil structure and retain soil nutrients. Lastly, forests are rich resources of food and other economic produce. For example, timber, silk, honey, herbal medicines, resins, etc. So forests are indeed very valuable for the sustenance of any geographical area. The National Forest Policy of India of 1988 recommends that there should be 33% of forests in plains and 67% in hills. But sadly today we have only about 12%, and that too is dwindling at an alarming rate. So in order to reach that mark, we should not only protect existing forests but also increase our forest cover. That's going to be a very difficult task. People who live in or near the forests, mainly the tribals, they know the value of the forest resources firsthand. It's because their livelihoods depend directly on these resources. I'd like to tell you the case of Sarawak, a state in Malaysia. This case study came in National Geographic magazine in Jan 2015. Sarawak is an island in Malaysia which was rich in forest cover and biodiversity. Sarawak has a population of about 25 lakhs and it is comprised of about 40 different tribes. Its rainforests are home to numerous plants and animals and a rich indigenous culture. The article tells a story of how a once majestic forest was made almost barren by some lobbies involved in extensive timber trade. It is said that most of these events happened during the regime of the ex-Chief Minister of Sarawak, Abdul Taib Mahmood. Today, the Taib family controls a vast business empire with holdings in the logging and plantation industries, the electricity market, the real estate companies, and the media. Taib's asset is estimated to run to $15 billion. This picture shows the denudation of the Borneo rainforest in Sarawak. This ancient rainforest has been converted into a barren landscape. One can see oil palm plantations and access roads in Sarawak. Today, more than 90% of Borneo's primary forest has been destroyed. Sarawak has many tribal groups in its population, one of them being the penance. Originally, the Pennan lived as nomads in the rainforest. They obtained their food from hunting, fishing, and gathering fruits and plants. When rainforest clearance began in 1980s, it brought a massive upheaval to the Pennan's way of life. Sarawak has one of the most biodiverse habitats on earth. Initially, logging companies come in for the so-called selective logging, taking the oldest and most valuable trees out. A couple of years later, they came back and get the rest of the bigger trees. Often they return for a third time, after which nothing much is left to be harvested. This picture depicts the extensive nature of logging in Sarawak. Logging destroys not only nature, the basis of Pennan's livelihood, but the very existence of the unique rainforest culture. The history and identity of the formerly nomadic people is tied up tightly with its forests. In this context, I'd like to tell you about Bruno Manser. Manser was a Swiss environment activist. From 1984 to 1990, he stayed with the Pennan tribe. Now, generally, tribals will not easily accept strangers as their friends. But Manser was able to gain their confidence, lived with them in the jungle for many years, and organized several blockades against timber companies. After he emerged from the forest in 1990, he engaged in public activism for rainforest preservation and the human rights of tribals like the Pennan. Through such actions, a number of primary forest regions were successfully saved from destruction. But this also brought him into conflict with the Malaysian government. He founded the Swiss NGO called the Bruno Manser Fund in 1991. This was done to fight for the rights of such indigenous people. He disappeared during his last journey to Sarawak in May 2000 and is presumed dead, but nobody knows for sure. Former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown has called the deforestation of Sarawak as probably the biggest environmental crime of our times. After Manser, Lucas Stroman has become the director of the Bruno Manser Fund. It's called in short BMF. It works to protect the tropical rainforests. He has also written a book called Money Logging on the Trail of Asian Timber Mafia. Now, why I thought of narrating the Sarawak case is there are few people in the world who devote their life for such noble causes. But more number of people should come forward to make a difference. In India too, we have similar stories. And some of the deforestation stories will never come to limelight as there will be nobody to report this in the wilderness of the thick jungles. And most important, such devoted people are becoming a rarity. So the take-home message is we should all contribute to conserve our rich rainforests because sooner or later we will have to pay a price for the indiscriminate destruction of our biodiversity. With that note, let me sign off for the day. Until we meet again, goodbye.